What up, people? Welcome to Let's Talk Under the Tree. We have Miss Johnson in the house out of Texas. What it,
Hello.
what it do? We have Mr. T. Smalls. What they say, boy?
Let's talk under the tree.
And we're going to do it right. We're going to get some folks mad. Tonight is all about the men. We have the world-renowned relationship expert here to give it to us raw from a woman's point of view for a man. And we're going to hear what you got to say. So y'all doing all right tonight?
I am good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, most definitely.
You all right, Mr. Smalls?
Oh man, I'm always all right, man. It's game time, baby.
I can't see your eyes, man. Open your eyes up, bro.
Hey man, I'm trying to, man. Can you see me? Can you see me, baby?
I can see you. Turn your hat backwards. Do something.
Hey man, look, man. Hey, hat to the back, man. Going hard in the paint, bro.
All right. All right, let's cut the fat, as you say. Now, we always hear about men getting dogged out, TV, the magazines, the news. We all bad people. We slick it in a bag of okras, and we always get a bad rap. And I'm sure Mr. Smalls, what do you got to say about that?
Man, look, man, we always get the short end of the stick, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can't understand.
Right. Why do you think we can't understand? What you think? What is it, man? What's all the fuss about?
I don't know, bro. Hey, we got an expert on the team, man. We gonna find out.
But sometimes it make you want to tell a woman this right here, and we're gonna play a little clip. And sometimes if you're married or single, you be in the bed with your significant other, and all you can say is this right here.
Who is you?
I mean,
sometimes it be like that.
Let me ask you a question. What makes a woman cheat? What do you think it is? I mean, what's the problem that y'all do it so good and a man can never know? What are the signs a man need to look for?
There are many reasons why women cheat. I think ultimately it depends on the woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are certain instances where you're dealing with a woman who may have some issues related back to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is connected to sexual abuse. So that awakens some things sometimes in a woman as she grows up. And if you're dealing with a woman with those type of issues that have not been addressed, you may not be able to get her from not cheating, no matter how good of a man you are.
Wow. In the African American community, we always seem like we pay attention to a woman or make wisecracks that they're mostly dominant and they act like a man. What's the problem? Is there a reason for that? Because they haven't had the daddy experience, or were they mom dominant in the home? In your opinion, what causes these things?
I think that's exactly what it is. Statistically, 70% of Black homes are run by black women. And so you put a woman in a position where she's no longer the head, she's going to struggle. She watched her mom do it. So now you're asking her to step back. She doesn't know how to step back. She's always had to watch her mom take care of things, and there was no man around. And so there's a fear that if somebody else is in control, then things are going to go wrong. So it's just that fear.
Do you think that's leading to a high divorce rate among, African Americans, because somebody's going to be dominant, that woman, and the man is not going to step down? There's an old saying that two men can't live in the same house.
I agree with that. I agree. I agree that a lot of Black women are struggling to allow a man to lead because of that fear. And that is causing us to kind of make him seem like he's not needed. And we all know a man needs to feel needed. And so when you put him in a position where he has a place and you actually have to make a place for him, then he'll feel like he's necessary. And so I think, we have to allow men to be able to make mistakes. A lot of men didn't grow up with fathers either. So you give them that room to make that mistake, and, you trust them to lead your family. And eventually, you got a man who feels confident in doing it and he does a good job at it.
Right. Mr. Smalls, how do you feel about that?
Man, it's if you let a man lead, man, that's the main thing, because the Bible said, man, a man's supposed to be the head of his household. reiterating on what Miss Johnson said about, you grew up in a home where the male is not present, so you got the female playing the male role, and you got women growing up under that doesn't know how to react when you have a male presence. So that right there caused a lot of the conflict because the man is naturally trying to lead versus the women that are supposed to be by the man's side or whatever. So just like she said, that's the reason why divorce rates are probably going up, because you have to sit back and let the man lead, like the Bible saying that, and it's true about what she's saying and things of that nature. It goes back from how you was brought up.
Does this thing happen in a common home? A woman can work on taking a man's childhood from up under his feet. Excuse me, manhood, and he feels like a child. You think that could cause some serious problems?
I absolutely do. If you emasculate him, eventually he's not going to see a place in being there. He may stay for a while, but eventually he'll find his way out. Or he'll stay and not do what he's supposed to do. Your choice.
Have you ever experienced that or seen, not you personally, but maybe seen any family members that go through that?
I see it all the time. And I talk to a lot of women who tell me it's a struggle to allow someone else to be the lead in the family, just because they've had so many experiences with men who came in and they had ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really come to lead. They came to come in, get something, take it, and go.
Mm-hmm.
And those experiences kind of put a damper on the man that does come in with the right mindset. So if you're put in that position, and then you're not allowing him to have his own experience and putting the experience you've had in the past on him, then it's going to make it difficult for you to maintain that relationship and allow him to be in his place.
I've received some emails that, some men, they're begging for a woman's touch, a woman's love, affection, and they never get it, and they keep begging over and over. From what you've seen and heard and maybe observed in your family, what do you think that could drive a man to do if they never get it and a woman just not going to be affectionate at all? Do you think it's headed for disaster at the end of the road?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of times men don't know how to communicate the need for affection, for one, and women struggle because of fear of being hurt. Usually, that lack of affection, because women are usually basing their experience on things that have gone on. So, if there has been a time where they were vulnerable and they're no longer able or feel like they can be vulnerable because they'll get hurt or for whatever reason, then they will withhold that affection. And so for a man, I mean, you're looking for a soft spot. You don't get with the woman for a tough spot to lay.
Right.
You get with the woman for a soft place to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that woman is not that, it's going to be difficult for him to not stray. And that's just the truth.
I heard that.
What do you feel? How do you feel about that, Mr. Smalls?
But man, it's gonna be difficult, man. With relationships, man, it's kind of like that sort of thing, man. Like, I'm a man and this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to lead. If a woman doesn't allow a man to lead, man, that causes conflict because naturally a man's supposed to be the head. I believe, man, that a lot of things that's going on is just wrapped around what we see today as far as what's going on in the world. Us as a people, man, sometimes don't understand we are conditioned to be a certain way. That could play a part in it too. Like you say, man, some guys come there with a mindset to take something and leave. And then you get guys that come there with a mindset to actually lift a woman up. But it's hard for a woman to tell the difference, because you don't know what you're getting. It's kind of like rolling a dice. You can roll a 7 or you can roll snake eyes. How do you know? But in a woman's perspective, what I believe is that a woman has to just give that guy a chance, and whatever relationship that she had in the past, just leave that in the past and move to the future, move to to move forward and give the guy that you with, or the person that you're allowing yourself to be with, a chance to show you what type of person they are, and from there, man, you can work things out.
Yeah. The average older mother is about, say, 70 years old to 85, give or take. And it seemed like they're not affectionate people from that generation. They still wearing the tool belt like Mr. Bookman on Good Times. So as old as they are, what's the problem? What is it? They so tough and tight to say I love you. What is it? What do you think? I don't know how old your parents are, but it seemed like that does happen.
Yeah, it does. I've seen it from generation to generation. When I think about my own family, my mother, my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have time to be nurturers. My mom worked 2 jobs. She didn't have time to be nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
And when a woman is put in a position where she either she's working or she's taking care of the kids, or she's in school, and you got to remember, Black women are doing a lot of things. We're working, we're going to school, and so it does affect you. When you've seen your mom work that hard, and there was no nurturing there, and now you're expected to know how to nurture. And a lot of it should be innate, but when that pain and that hurt is there from previous experiences, it just doesn't happen naturally. I can say that it is something that can be overcame if you work hard towards it. You have to heal first, and a lot of women are moving on to the next relationship without doing the work to heal, and that takes a while. And most people don't want to wait. Everybody wants love. It's a great thing, but it can be the worst thing if you don't do the work to heal, so that you can actually experience the true feeling of love and not just what the world is telling you it looks like. So I think it's doable. I mean, it's something that can be learned, the affection part of it. But we're not taking the time to heal, and that's just what it is.
Smalls, you look like you're just itching to say something about all this, the healing process, and moving on to the next relationship without healing. What you got to say?
Well, the thing about it is, man, that might be the case of because the healing process didn't run its course as far as healing. That right there goes back to the affection. People want to be affectionate. If you're not healed, you're not going to allow that person to be affectionate with you. You know what I'm saying? In any relationship. So I agree, man. You have to heal first to learn how to be affectionate, man. A lot of people want to be affectionate, man. In certain situations you can't, and that causes conflict. But I just really believe that if you heal first and learn how to put what was in the past, you can allow yourself to be affectionate.
Let me ask y'all, both of y'all, a question, and it doesn't matter who chime in first. With affection, and you say some folks, you might have said this, some folks might need some counseling. Do you think that do y'all think that some folks just avoid counseling and just would not go about their relationship? And in today's world, is a pastor really effective counseling you? Because it's a new day and era. Nobody goes to church and believe in pastors like they used to back in the days.
I personally feel like, you should probably do counseling at least once in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Black people in general, we are traumatized. We have been traumatized from the beginning. And so we have to remember that we're dealing with a lot of stuff that changes who we are, or the nature of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put on top of it being an adult and trying to engage in adult relationships. And then you bring in the stuff of the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're trying to intertwine your life. And both of you are, and love is one of those things that it brings out the worst and the best in people. And so you're trying to intertwine the two people who have their own stuff, and they're trying to mesh. And at some point, you have to realize that you need help. And I think particularly in the Black community, we don't like to say we need help.
No.
Yeah. And so that's part of the issue. I think we are coming to a space now where it's starting to become a little not so taboo, but eventually hopefully we get there where we understand that we got to ask for help and we got to get it and we got to take it for what it is. Because we can't do this thing in the condition that we're in with all the trauma that we've experienced.
Right. We always as far as our culture, man, we always like to say ain't nothing wrong with us because we are normalizing the way we are. It's always good to ask for help, man. We put our pride in the way because we feel like, okay, man, ain't nothing wrong with us. We can work out our own problems and things of that nature. But it's always good to ask for help. That, it might be somebody out there that might know something a little bit better than you know, and might can give you an insight on where you're going wrong at as far as relationships, being affectionate, all that, man. Just like Mr. Palmer said, man, we don't run to the pastors like we used to. Like back in the old days, we used to always go to the to the pastors, like, as far as your grandparents or your mothers or whatever, and go to the pastors for insight, man. And they pray with you. They get on the phone, pray, or you come to their house, they have prayer, and they let you know what you need to do to move forward and get past what's troubling you. But to ask for help is not saying that you are weak in saying that something is wrong with me or whatever. You just asking for insight, man, to make you a better person to move forward. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, man, we just got to put the pride away, man. You just got to put the pride away.
Ms. Johnson, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can never put a limit on where your help comes from.
Right.
So it can come from a pastor. It can come from a friend.
Right.
It can come from someone who's certified to do it. Mm-hmm. You just got to be able to discern whether or not that person is capable of providing you sound advice. Correct. Not biased on one side or the other, but it's sound advice that can help you. And so I'm all for, going to your pastor, going to a professional, whichever one works, and maybe you need to do it more than once. Counseling. One don't work, try somebody else.
Counseling.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen this in your family. Say you have a young lady, 50 years old, maybe son 45, I don't know. And the parents may be 75, 73 years old, and they're still mad at the baby daddy. The child is 50 years old. You might have a daughter, 45, maybe 55. You know where I'm going with this. And they could be at the same church, pass by each other, and look at each other, cut their eyes. You go to hell. I mean, serious. And what's the problem? You going on 80 years old, still mad. I mean, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Not healed. Obviously, she is not healed.
Still holding that grudge, huh?
Yeah, still holding that grudge. And here's my thing. I have a pet peeve about women who bash the father of their children.
All right.
And I get a lot of crap from women because I do have this pet peeve. But my thing is this: you have your role and he has his. Focus on doing you, and what he does or does not do, that's on him. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that child is part you and part him. And so when you bash him, you're bashing part of that child. Mm-hmm. And so when you make a decision to lay down with him,
preach.
You make a decision on what comes with laying down with him. Mm-hmm. So if he walks away, he walks away. That's on him. But you do you and don't bash him. That's just how I feel about that.
Oh man, we going to church now.
Hold up, I'm gonna let you come in, Smalls. Hold up, I'm gonna piggyback on what she said. You are exactly right. And a lot of times women say, tell the daddy go to hell, and they exclude that son or daughter from their entire family. And when they become adults, they don't even know their people. And when you ask the question about that situation, the whole thing is stupid as hell. My grandmother always told me, don't blame nobody when two people get naked. And it's the truth. Right.
I agree.
It goes along with what you just said, And a lot of times that child doesn't know the other side of their family because the mother is completely angry.
Yeah.
And they have no connection with their people at all. It's an identity crisis, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you like to say, Smalls. Go ahead and say it. That little video clip that I played, say it. Say it live.
Who is you?
Right, when you meet your people. I mean, so how do you feel about that, Smalls?
Well, I mean, the child ain't asked to come. You know what I mean? You got two grown people, man, who made a decision to have a child. You got to put your differences aside and focus on being co-parents. You know what I'm saying? The child don't deserve to not know who their family is, or don't deserve the hear that you talking down on they daddy versus their mom, or whatever the case may be, man. Put all that aside. Focus on co-parenting with the children. Make sure the children have a healthy environment and an open dialogue between the both of y'all, and know their families. That way you won't have no if, ands, or buts about it. You know what I'm saying? The child won't be like, oh, my daddy ain't this, or my mom ain't that. You know what I'm saying? You don't need that, because that divides a child from their parents. You know, you want to favor one parent, you want the child to favor one parent more than the other because of your personal issues. That's ridiculous. In my book, I have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Allow the child to grow up in a healthy environment because they didn't ask to come here.
Right. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Johnson. Women are notorious for poisoning the minds of their kids against the father. Poison. And most kids turn out brainwashed, and they never know nothing, haven't talked or seen their father in years. What's the problem? Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Yeah, I've seen it often. And again, you're only hurting the child. I mean, at the end of the day, because like I said, that child is part you and part the father. And so, you know, when you bash him or tarnish his name, then you need to be mindful that as that kid gets older, he or she is gonna develop his own mindset, and that anger may turn inward. And so now you're dealing with a child who's angry. And so the best thing you can do is keep the doors of communication open. If that father wants to show up once a month or once a year, you keep that door open, because you never know when that father is going to change his mind. And he gets the chance to do that. For some reason, I think a lot of us think that we get to make 10 million errors and the dad does not get to make one.
Say it again. Unfair. Say it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but imagine you're a parakeet. Say it again, please.
I said, I don't understand why we as mothers think that we get to make 10 million errors and the father does not get to make one.
Wow.
We all deserve grace because none of us are perfect.
Right.
And so you have to be willing to allow that relationship to grow. And it'll never grow if you shut and lock and bolt that door. So I just always say, you know, however that father is, however bad he is, the lack of responsibility he's shown, the child will find out on his own. He doesn't need your help. He doesn't need your encouragement. He doesn't need you telling him anything. He'll find out on his own. And you should allow that process to happen without anything.
I feel some fire. You got some ice water, Smalls?
Hey, man, look, man, I concur. I concur with what she's saying, man. Everything is true.
Y'all gonna get me popped up on this video.
Oh, man.
we love it. We love it. Okay.
We talking under the tree right now. We talking under the tree.
We under the tree.
You know what I'm saying? And I concur with everything you say, man. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say about that.
Do you think child support is overrated? Because sometimes a man, you know, may not have money. And before you answer, I'm a firm believer in this. It takes more than a plate of food to raise a child. The hell with a plate of food. You got to put the time in.
Right.
You know, you got to talk to them. You never remember something you got to eat. You know, I don't like that parenting style. Oh, I give you something to eat. You ain't no. I mean, that don't make you a man. That's me. That's my opinion. So, do you think the child support system's overrated when it comes to mothers, or some do it as a grudge, just for a get back?
Well, of course, I think you know, we all should be financially responsible for our children. I do think just as most or all of the systems in our America they're used not for the greater good. I think a lot of women are bitter, but there are some who have given the man many chances and he just wouldn't do the right thing. And so she had no choice. I just think it depends on the woman and what mindset she's in. If you're using it to get back at the man, that's not right. There are other ways to go about it. I think, like you said, it takes more than money to raise a child. And I tell every woman I know, even if he's not paying child support, he still gets to see that child.
Oh man.
So you should not use that as leverage for him not being able to develop a relationship with that child, because in the end, that's what's going to matter, you know, as that child gets to grow older, is that relationship, not whether or not he paid you child support.
A lot of times when the child gets older and asks about their dad, and you hear a lot of women say, I did the best I done, baby. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit. You should let the child see their father. T. Smalls gave me some ice water on it.
Man, let me you did the best you can, man. Allow these fathers, man, to be fathers. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, allow them to be fathers. Don't just say child support, man, is not gonna bring back the time that you can spend with your child, regardless of the fact. So I mean, just allow them to be fathers, man. Put your differences aside, you know, and everything else will work itself out, man. Like I say, co-parenting is very important. You know, let's work together to do something for the benefit of our children or our child. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And it seems like I've known that a lot of males have to go to court to see their child. Do you think it has to get to, you know, something like that? I mean, have you ever seen situations like that? The mom just won't let the child go. The daddy has to go in front of the judge just for visitation rights.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Usually they stay away from me because of my opinion on it. So in my close network of people.
Right.
But yeah, I've seen it happen, and like I said, I am anti that type of behavior. I think it ultimately hurts the child, and I always say, and this has been my saying for years, you have to love the child more than you hate the man, and that's what it comes down to.
I like that.
Mr. Small, excuse me, Mr. Smalls, let's do a 12-month calendar, and Ms. Johnson help me. We're going to skip this month.
All right.
What's the next holiday? 4th of July, Labor Day, what's next?
But Halloween?
Yeah, well, that's fine. Yeah. Give me one after that. I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this. What's after Halloween?
Thanksgiving is my favorite.
Okay, what's after that? End of the year.
And then you got Christmas.
Okay. Then after that, what's right after that?
You got New Year's Eve.
And I think, okay, it's another one, Valentine's Day, I would say.
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Yeah. What then? Memorial Weekend.
Hold up, man. You not skip one, man. St. Patty's Day, bro.
Yeah, we have that. And we gonna say again.
I said, do we celebrate that?
I don't celebrate it.
Well, some people do. But I had to put it in there.
Okay, so we in May, right? Say May 2021.
Right.
After that, we back to June, Father's Day. You don't hear a damn thing from these women with all these holidays roll around until June come when Father's Day get here.
Right.
Then when Father's Day get here, as soon as 6 a.m. in the morning, the sunrise, you know what they do on Facebook, social media? I'm the mama and the daddy. So what's the problem? Men don't usually bash them on their day, but all you hear is these women on Father's Day bashing men on their day. What's the problem? They wait. You never hear about them on all the other holidays. They're quiet as hell.
They're bitter.
Matter of fact, you know what?
And unhealed. Bitter and unhealed. I mean, that's just one day where you just don't say anything. You know, you know, the old folks say you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. Yeah, you just don't say nothing. You know, you sit at home mad because you got to do it all by yourself, but don't do that. Right. There's a lot of great fathers out here. I've had the pleasure of experiencing it. I see them all around me. I think this generation coming up, they are much better fathers than the generation of me and before me. And we have to give them credit for that, you know, and not bash them. So I think, you know, Father's Day come around, just don't say nothing. If you got to say something bad. So.
But do you really think that's going to happen? I mean, this
Well,
might be
listen, I do think over the year, like the past 2 or 3 years, it seems to be getting better because it was bad for a minute. It seems, I think, because people have been speaking up about it, and so I'm not seeing it as much on social media for Father's Day anymore.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Hopefully, we're moving out of that. You know.
Just let us have our day. That's it.
Yeah, let you have your day.
Smalls, what you think about that? What I just said, you know, all the other holidays, you don't hear a doggone thing.
You really don't. You really don't. As soon as Father's Day come up, oh, I'm the father and the daddy. Okay, we understand that, and we commend the women who are put in position to do that. But for the fathers out here that's doing the right thing, you know, we going hard in the paint, as I would say it. Look, man, let us enjoy our day, man, and you know, just at least have that 24-hour period where we have no controversy and everybody just giving us our shout outs and our due credit. You know what I mean?
A lot of women allow, what do you think about this, Ms. Johnson? Address these women that allow the kids to disrespect the fathers, talk back with the fathers in the home or outside the home, and the women join in with the kid. Have you ever experienced that, seen that, touched on that, counseled anybody on that? Is it mental? Is that a mental thing for a woman to allow that?
Well, so I'm from Mississippi, right? I'm a Southern Black woman,
right?
And I don't believe any child should be speaking out of order or out of tone at any adult, father, mother, cousin, uncle, stranger on the street. I just think a kid should not be disrespecting an adult. Period.
But when the woman, some women do allow it and they join in. Have you ever heard of situations like that?
And I think a lot of that is, you know, like I said, when you put your bitterness and anger up on the child, and then all of a sudden, you know, he or she hears it long enough, and they start to internalize those emotions. I talk a lot to women about how you have to monitor what you allow your child to see in regards to the emotional turmoil that you experience. Children can't process adult emotions. And so at some point you're ruining that child. And so I think a lot of moms are, like I said, they haven't done anything to heal. And so they get a kick out of watching their children be disrespectful to the father because they have no respect for him and they want the child to not have any respect for him. But I think it'll backfire eventually.
Give me somebody. Go ahead.
You can't contain that behavior. And once you allow him or her to disrespect his father, that disrespect is going to spread further. And now you're dealing with a child in school who's disrespectful. You're dealing with a child that's, you know, out in the community disrespectful. It's just, I just think it's a horrible thing.
What you got to say about that, Smalls?
I like to say, man, there's too many. I've seen situations where there's too many parents being friends with their children. I know everybody ain't gonna like me to say that, but I am your parent. If you are a parent, that's what a parent does. You're not in their world to be their friends. Although that you should always have an open line of communication with them. But it's a thin line between being your friend and being your parent. When a parent joins in with a child and they are being disrespectful as the child, as the child, that means that it's like a friendship thing. You know what I'm saying? We all in the same game. So I'm your friend. We gonna back each other out. We friends, you know, something like that. No, it's not supposed to go like that. A child's supposed to stay in their place at all times. I don't care who it is. You know, the disrespectfulness, if it's a normalized thing in the home, they don't know no better. That means your home trainer need to step it up a notch. You know, and like I say, man, we are not friends with our children, although we are always going to have an open line of communication. And that's how I feel about that situation.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Johnson. Go ahead. You had something to say. Go ahead.
I agree with him. I agree. I always say your child will have 15, 20 friends. They only get 2 parents. And so you should not switch those roles because they need you as a parent.
Right.
As a woman, you said that you're from Mississippi. So I'm sure you know about home cooked meals, but you don't look like you look kind of prissy. I don't think you have ever wrung the chicken neck in the yard. Pluck the feathers off and cut it up in 8 pieces, and you got fried chicken. But
don't let this pretty face fool you.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
There
it is.
Yeah. My grandfather had chicken coops. He had a hog pen, gardens. He was the meat man in the community. So I grew up doing all of that.
Right.
Okay.
I have been cooking for a very long time, and I can tell you I don't like doing it. I have a husband, so I do it. And I have a son and a daughter, so I do it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, I believe in roles, traditional roles, in a sense. I think it just creates some order in the house. And so, yeah, I cook.
Okay, well, since you talking about all this, we under the tree. I'm gonna put you on blast with something. I'm gonna see. No, wait, no, we have some fun. No,
actually,
since we talking about these pigs and all T Smalls, you from Carolina, I'm gonna get you into this too. Let me hear your hog call.
Oh man,
no, go ahead.
I can't get it to you, big dog.
Huh?
Hey man, no pork on my fork, big dog.
All right. but back to this food thing. It came to my attention that these young girls can't cook. What's the problem? Hold up, you know I'm going. They just can't cook. Your era, I'm sure you teach I don't know if you have girls, but I don't know, that's your thing, or your sons to cook a little something. But this new generation of females, it appears that they just can't cook. What's the problem? They can't even season chicken. They don't even know how to wash chicken in the sink. I'm not here to bash nobody, but I'm just speaking the facts from what I've been told. Is this true?
I've heard about it a lot, and I've heard complaints about it a lot. I think something happened after my generation. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, women stopped caring if they knew how to cook or not. My generation of women, we were in the kitchen. A lot of us were we grew up with helicopter parents. So our parents were at work, and I was the oldest. I had 2 sisters under me. While everybody was outside jump roping, I was in the house cooking full course meals. So I think something happened after my generation that took that level of responsibility off women. And so those women raised children who didn't learn how to cook. And so I tell my sons, you better learn how to cook, because you're probably going to be dealing with a woman who does not want to cook or know how to cook. So I think that's just the reality. It's the reality.
Wow. What do you think about that, Smalls? You think they can cook? Man, from your experiences now.
It's this thing called social media, bro. Hey, the generation behind our generation, man, got caught up in the social media phenom, and they got too busy looking at food on social media and not actually cooking.
Right.
I don't have no explanation for that, man. Maybe it's just the generational gap that they didn't learn how to cook or whatever, or just maybe wasn't taught that. But you do have some some women, man, of this generation that do know how to cook, man, that caught on to the cooking thing from the older, the older crowd or whatever. And that probably comes from them having the home training, coming from a home that they cook, meals every day. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's just a family tradition type thing. And but the majority, man, you be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? You know, they come from a background they probably don't know. So it's kind of half and half. I'm kind of on the fence about that one because I'm not gonna say everybody, every woman in this generation, you know, the generation that came after us, don't know how to cook, man. But it's just half and half, in my perspective.
In your opinion, Ms. Johnson, what is a submissive woman? You hear a lot of stereotypes about it, but what is that detail? I mean, nobody really knows because some women go to work, you don't know nothing, you know, that they make, or you never see their paycheck stubs. You don't know, you know, what they have in the bank. What is a submissive woman in your opinion?
I think what a submissive woman isn't is controlled. And I think that's what pushes a lot of women away from the word or gives them a negative connotation of the word. They think it means control, and it does not mean control. It's kind of a reverence and a level of respect that you have for your husband. Now, we should not be submitting to boyfriends. But I think what happens is it just allows you, and I tell a lot of women, like, you really have to understand that it works for you. You were put in the position to be a help. And in your previous life, you did it all. So being submissive allows you to not have to do it all. It allows you to have someone else in a position to make decisions that are sometimes really hard, and just kind of consult you on them.
Right.
And so it puts you in a position where you don't have to be everything to everyone at all times. I think it's just the level of respect you have for your husband.
Right. That's pretty amazing. What's up, T Smalls? What you got on it?
All right, man. You just have to. Well, you just have to. You know, just pretty much. You just have to pretty much, man, just level with your relationship and everything. I was a little bit lost for words just now. Excuse me. But as long as you and your husband, man, are on the same page and everything like that, man. I think, man, as long as y'all keep it, family like, everything will be all right.
You always hear about men running women off. Does that happen with a woman running a man off? Because we always get dogged. He gonna run her off, dog her out. Do some women dog men out and run him off? A good man.
Absolutely. Some women are scared of commitment, and they're scared of something they've never experienced before. I'll put it that way. So if you're used to always being lied to and cheated on and abandoned and those type of situations, and somebody comes along and they offer a new experience, some women it scares them off, and so they do run. And I think a lot of men, a lot of times, will run from a woman that doesn't want that. So I think it does. It work. It can happen, definitely.
I've heard of situations that a woman put their kids first and makes the man feel like a child in his own home. It could be a married couple or single couple that's living together. And once the man knows that the kids come first, he seems to bow down, or he may just leave. Because a lot of times a man, we don't talk a lot about a lot of things. We think it. So have you ever seen that situation where a woman put their kids first and the man is secondary in the back burner?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people struggle with this. And usually when I'm talking to people who have this struggle, I usually tell them that you have to nurture the relationship you have with your spouse. I'm not going to say boyfriends, because I truly believe in the commitment of marriage. I think once you make a decision that you're going to get married, you make that decision that your husband is going to be first. And there is an order of things, and I think that order was put in place because it worked. a lot of times we forget that, you're raising your kids. And if your husband loves you, he's never going to put you in a position where your kids are lacking for anything. And so you putting him first, he's gonna throw it back down to you to put the kids first. That's just how it works when you're with the right person. And when you're nurturing that relationship with your husband, it affects the kids in a positive way. And so that level of respect you pass on. And so I think it creates a respect from her to him, from him to her, and then the children see it. Right. And so, everybody's in a good position, and those kids are eventually going to leave you.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait a minute. I like that. I'm not going to call you a parakeet, but could you please play the parakeet role?
You didn't say that again. Huh?
Yeah.
I said those kids are eventually going to leave you, and they're going to go find their person. And the person that you are stuck with, you're not going to have anymore, or you're going to have them and not know them because you didn't nurture that relationship.
Right.
And so now you got two people looking at each other who really don't want to be there. They stayed for the kids, and now both are unhappy. So I truly believe in making sure that, there's an order.
Wow. You broke it down. We appreciate you. We're going to sing you a song. We're just going to change the words on it at the end.
Oh, man.
You ready? You ready, Smalls?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
We're sorry, Miss Johnson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry.
I apologize 1,000 times.
We're sorry, Miss Johnson. But T. Smalls, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed you, Miss Johnson. I love you. We love you for being on here.
We surely did.
Thank you, guys.
A very fruitful conversation. It's a pleasure to have you on our show. Very much a pleasure.
Thank you guys for having me. I truly do. This was fun.
Smalls, I'm going to let you do something you never did. I'm going to let you close out in prayer this time. Say what you want to say. Just give me something. A little prayer. Go ahead.
Lord, I thank you for today. I thank you for the fruitful conversation that we had with Ms. Johnson, Mr. Palmer. I thank you for let's talking under the tree. Let us go about our night in a positive way, Lord. Let us ease our minds. Let us stay away from confusion and everything. Let us have a blessed night. Let us be able to go to our families and actually let them know that everything, being that we're in the pandemic and all the unrest that's going on in the world, everything will be all right. Lord, I bless I like to say thank you to everybody out there that's supporting us in our movement, and we are trying to create a platform from nowhere. In God's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Are you a Baptist preacher?
Hey, man. Hey, I don't get to do that a lot, man. So you put me on the spot, Mr. Palmer, man.
You did good.
You did good. And we're gonna invite you in the future. Again, we like that you did come on. And thanks for coming. It takes a lot of courage.
I thank you guys. It was fun. Like I said, anytime you want me to come on, just let me know.
Go ahead, right. Smalls. Take us off, Smalls. What you got? Say it.
Let's talk under the tree.
I don't want to hear it. I want to hear the other one.
Which one you want to hear, man?
Your trademark. Come on, man.
It's T. Smalls.
We'll talk about it later. But y'all have a good night.
That wasn't it.
She even know. Matter of fact, hold on a minute. I'm going to do it.
All right.
And we're going to
get on. Hold on. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're getting at now.
Yeah, go ahead. No, hold on a minute.
Go ahead. Do the sound bite, man.
Go ahead and do the sound bite.
Who is you? Hey, man, you know, I just wanted you to do that sound bite, right?
Yeah, I know. Y'all have a good night. All the way from Mississippi by way of Texas, Ms. Johnson, relationship expert. And we hope you don't get the mean eyes at you when we play this.
I'm ready.
I know. All right, y'all have a good night. Peace.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Peace.
Bye.